I think there's a valiant effort underway from the Republican conference to spin this as a loss for the Democratic Party. But look at the numbers. You have President Trump's own approval rating in the generic sort of overview of all the polls, the averages, down 20 points since October, since this started. And we are having a conversation again about healthcare, which is a platform that Democrats have run on and won for 2 decades, at least. We're looking at midterm elections that won New Jersey and the very light blue state of Virginia by double digits, wins in Mississippi and Georgia. And now we're going to have healthcare be a predominant topic of conversation for a vote into December and then going into January 30th when we face another potential shutdown. If you're looking at the average Trump voter or the average voter over the age of 60 who's on any of these ACA programs, their healthcare costs went up by over $900. And the worst part for the Republicans is that now those voters know. So I think there's maybe not a fix to the ACA subsidies, but there's a pretty clear loser in this situation. And polls consistently throughout have shown it's the Republican conference and in particular President Trump.
Right. What is the timing of this, Henrietta? I mean, I know you can't come to a firm conclusion there, but in the turmoil over the last 12 hours, what does the Henrietta Treyz calendar look like to year end?
Into year end, we're going to go through fits and starts here for another 48 hours, however long it takes for Mike Johnson to get his members back into DC. But we are going to reopen the government now. And so then we'll have basically a Veterans Day recess, a Thanksgiving Day recess. We'll spend mid-December just in the run up to Christmas talking again about healthcare. There's not going to be time to pass a fiscal year 2026 budget. There's not going to be time to pass a reconciliation package. What Democrats did was took the legislative agenda and hijacked the floor and took it off the table for Republicans. So when President Trump tweets about wanting to pass a rebate check using the $90 billion in tariff revenue that's come in this year over IEPA for a $2,000 rebate check, you don't have time for that, let alone the cost of $400 billion that it would require. But basically, the entire rest of the year has been usurped by this healthcare conversation, and this vote promise guarantees that we'll be doing that into December.
Talk to us about mid-year elections. When does the attention down in your world really switch to that?
We're there. We're definitely there. The midterm elections, the votes that happened last Tuesday, are very predictive of what's going to happen in the House next year. Indeed, for the last 90 years, whenever you've had a sweep like we saw on Tuesday, that party goes on to win the House of Representatives. If you're reading the exit polling that's coming out now, we're still doing the analysis there, it suggests that we're on par for a ratio of turnover of Trump voters and Democratic turnout that rivals 2018. And that year, Speaker Pelosi picked up 41 seats in the House. So that's the trajectory of where we're going. I think it's fascinating to think that we're going to have the Supreme Court ruling on top of that around the president's tariffs, while the president is materially underwater on three core issues: the economy, inflation, and trade. And that's going to dominate a lot of the first quarter of next year and potentially even most of next year as he migrates away from IEPA tariffs and into 232s or 301s or other tariff strategies, which really is just going to keep prices, the cost of living front and center. And the Republican Party has to be hopeful that that will turn around.